It's the late summer, and for some reason, this late summer has just been filled with rock music. It's actually the beginning of fall. I started my semester yesterday. I got an 8-day-old baby in the other room. I got a 2-year-old baby downstairs. I gotta tell you, I'm making this video for my own mental health, because I just gotta keep making videos. I gotta keep listening to music, and it's really been a late summer of rock and roll. I did that new Jordy Griep song, I did the Paranewel album, and in general, when I talk about rock music, even though my rock tastes veer more towards classic rock, these days I've been preferring whatever people call post-punk, something that's rock and roll, a little something extra on it, which is why I'm going to be reviewing the new album by Fontaines, D.C., Romance. But the most interesting comparison, actually, isn't this other sort of post-punk music. I think what I've been listening to, this reminds me an album I struggled with but enjoyed quite a bit, the new Jack White album. That's part of the reason I'm in my son's room. That, and it's the only place in this entire goddamn house a man can get some peace. And when I talked about Jack White, if you didn't see the video, I talked about my difficulty with what I call gray man rock. So that's when you mix Jack White fans and Black Keys fans. There's a specific kind of, it turns out, American rock fan who just likes rock and roll that makes them feel like they're still listening to classic rock music from, that they're listening to a classic rock station in the 1980s and 1990s. Okay, that's their goal. And this music I also call Home Depot music, honey whiskey music. It's just like, it can be great music, but I get the sense of sadness. That it's just people who have gotten old. And it makes me, as a 46, soon to be 47-year-old man, it makes me wonder, is there not another way? Do we have to be taken to a cliff and pushed off? Okay? Is that it? Do we hope we die before we get old? Are we allowed to like new music? There has to be a third way between middle-aged Greta Van Fleet fan and an aging hipster. Thank the European Anglosphere. There is a third way. And that's what I learned in doing this review. I've been working on this review for a week, but I only have 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there before I got to change a diaper, change another diaper, do a lesson plan, respond to an executive committee request, all this kinds of stuff. This is just a hobby I picked up in the lobby. It is the thing I enjoy doing most in my life outside of my family. So we have to praise the English-speaking European world, of which Fontaines, D.C. are a part of. Because they have a third way. Now, I should have known this. You see behind me, and you see I've already shown you Mojo Magazine. If you've never read Mojo Magazine is the greatest rock and roll magazine that has ever existed. And yeah, I have old editions of Cream and Lester Bangs, and I know all about your Rolling Stone and all that. And I'm actually a current subscriber to the new Cream, okay? But when it comes to excellent rock and roll journalism, nothing is ever going, in my opinion, can be better than Mojo, because Mojo does such a good job of being that third way. So this is 4 dudes and women. I imagine the majority of their readership is male, but what the hell do I know? Why am I making such weird comments in my videos? Why is it so hot in my son's room? It's so hot. The people who read this magazine, you'll see Fleet Foxes are on the cover. So even though they also have a great article about the Rolling Stones in Hyde Park in '69, a whole deep dive into that concert, the kind of stuff that real deep classic rock fans like, they also stay hip to new music. But that's not the term. The term isn't Mojo fan. There is a term that was coined by the British rock act Self-Esteem called the 6Music dad. Now, this has nothing to do with Toronto, nothing to do with Drake. This in England, apparently, or in Great Britain, I don't even know. Is this in Ireland too? Is this in Scotland? Is this in Wales? Is this in the Orkney Islands? I don't know. All that I know is that in a lot of European places, unlike in America, the broadcasting can be very minimal, and there can be national broadcasters that are just numbered. It's like in France, you have France 1, France 2, France 3, right? And each one has a different meaning. So apparently on British radio, there is British Radio 6. And that has a specific societal meaning. And it is, according to this article by Tom Dunn of the appropriately Irish Examiner, which I found, I will include a link to it. It's like It's me. It's me. It's a third way. I don't have to be there listening to only the Black Keys and my old Rolling Stones albums and Led Zeppelin albums saying that new music sucks. But I can listen to that music. I can get ridiculously excited about the Who Sell Out box set and listen to all the outtakes while at the same time start spinning the new Wet Leg. Okay? There is a third way. And it is this, as coined by Self-Esteem, the 6Music dads. I'm going to quote the Irish Examiner article in its entirety. Now listen, maybe you're young. You're probably young. If you watch this channel, you're probably young. Aspire to be a 6Music dad or a 6Music mom or just a 6Music anybody. Because listen, what it's known for, 6Music, is its mixture of classic rock and new rock music. Radio formats, they don't usually permit that. It's bad for advertising. You want to have either young or old. So, when I was growing up, you had a channel like WBCN in Boston, 104.1, which would play Nirvana, but would mostly play, Led Zeppelin, but they had a good mixture of it. So that's kind of how I think about it. You had your classic rock stations in Boston, 100.7, your ZLXs, and you had your new, hip, modern stuff, your 101.7 WFN, 101.7, whatever that one was. But the mixture of them is what I think we should be aspiring to as we get older. So these are the signs you might be a 6Music dad. 1, you're a male who came of age in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. Check. 2, you were once very musically informed and loved bands, live shows, albums, late nights. True. Not late nights, though. 3, unless it's like Mario Kart. I will play Mario Kart or Mortal Kombat 3 until 4 o'clock in the morning. I will not drink and get high until 4 o'clock in the morning. It's never been my thing. Mario Kart is objectively better than drugs. Fight me in the comments if you disagree. 3, family arrived. 4, your children are a little older now and you still love music. My son doesn't live at home anymore. I'm hanging out in his room. We're all here. 5, you like older stuff, but you love new artists too. 6, you still like gigs, festivals, indie music, and vinyl. True, 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 and true. 7, you think you still dress quite cool. Cool denims, designer runners, a well-informed t-shirt or two. Ouch, close to the bone. You love alternative comedy. How do they know me? How does Tom Dunn know me? How does he know that I'm a Greg head? How does he know that I'm a Greg head? 9, you are mindfully respectful of gender politics and the issues facing women in music. 10, you don't want trouble. I don't want trouble. I only ever almost once got in a fight in my entire life. It was when I was going through my divorce and someone was saying something nice about Eric Clapton and I almost got into a drunken bar fight with someone because I screamed Eric Clapton sucks as loud as I possibly could. That would have been a bad reason to go to jail and lose custody of my kids, but a good reason to have a bar fight. Number 11, you might well be seen at the back of an Idols concert. And they even reference Fontaines, D.C. And they just talk about who this person is. So this is why I love it. Because Fontaines, D.C. need to eat. Idols need to eat. Tapir needs to eat. All these bands need to make a living. And they're not going to make it on these little tiny labels. And they're not going to make it with a bunch of, super young kids who can't afford to buy houses or pay their rent. They're not always going to be able to buy vinyl. You need middle-aged dudes who've had a family and have a sustainable thing, or maybe in middle management or whatever, because they're going to be the people who are going to buy the better tickets for the show. They're going to be people who are going to buy the merch. They're the people who are going to, help the whole scene work. We don't have to have a division. We don't have to have a division between the young and the old when it comes to this great rock music. So I'm a 6Music dad, and this is a 6Music dad album because it feels like a jukebox. It feels like almost every song is in some way kind of a cool reference or a cool link to something else. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who just really enjoys this album. I really enjoy it. So I've only reviewed their last 3 albums. I wasn't recording when they made their first album. And, I don't think... It's funny because I think I prefer A Hero's Death to this album. I think I like this album more than Skintifa. But I don't want this album to be any different. I want them to mature, and this album feels mature without feeling old. Does that make sense to you? It's not my favorite album of theirs, but it's my favorite album that they can make right now because it shows this kind of growth. Maybe the growth comes from the fact that it is produced by James Ford. Hey, James Ford is absolutely on fire. Listen, you may or may not know this about my household, but at this point, all we can listen to is the Beatles. My 2-year-old loves the Beatles. My wife loves the Beatles. I love the Beatles. All we do is Beatles all day. Beatles, Beatles, Beatles. Help. Really, it's just the album Help over and over and over. Hey, you've got to hide your Beatles over and over and over and over again. Help and Rubber Soul came out in the same year. I don't swear a lot on this channel, so I'm just going to say just one time. Help and Rubber Soul came out in the same motherfucking year, okay? James Ford produced The Last Dinner Party, Beth Gibbons, and Fontaines, D.C. in the same motherfucking year. I'm not saying it's the same thing, okay? None of these albums are Help or Rubber Soul, but we do need to spend a little bit of our energy and our adulation and just these producers, you know? Your Careys, your Fordses, your Godrichians, we just have to appreciate what they're able to do, what they're able to get, because it works really well. It works really well with this maturing version of Fontaines DC. Maturing, not oldening, okay? Is the lighting okay here? My son's room is, man, no wonder he moved out. Although, the Falcon, you can't argue with the Falcon. And it's funny because, because I've been thinking so much about the Beatles lately, that's all I do. Beatles, Beatles, Beatles. All I got to do is act naturally. I love Ringo, but that's the worst song on the album. I don't know. Is that part of what made the Beatles' growth so marked was when they moved away from just the love songs, from the She Loves You and from I Love You and all that kind of stuff, and more towards more abstract stuff. So even a song like Taxman, even though it's kind of obscure and weird, is at least not just because I like you and you like me, ba-doo, right? Post-punk requires an opposite. So post-punk starts out cynical and abstract, and I think as they grow and mature, they need to work into more heartfelt and perhaps more even saccharine directions, which is why I think this great album cover with this weird-looking face and this heart, it's kind of bulbous. It's like if H.G. Geiger designed Hello Kitty, okay? That's what the album cover looks like. I just improvised that right now. I'm checking in with myself to see if I like that. I'm going to have a sip of my water here. Yeah, it's good enough. That'll have to stay there. This album is still a little cynical. It's still got Gryan. Is that how we pronounce his name? Is it Grain? I don't know. Listen, Americans, I end up saying things that upset my Irish audience, so I don't want to say anything. I will just say Americans have a very bad track record of pronouncing Irish names properly. So I'm just going to say that that's how I think it is, understanding that I might indeed be wrong. I almost went to that Hozier concert that was last month, but Hozier fans have a hit out on me. But this album is a little cynical. It's still got his kind of whine. It's still, if you like their previous stuff, you're going to like this. But there's just something heartwarming that even though it's still very poetic, there's something heartwarming and interesting and personal about this album. So let's get going on the jukebox, shall we? I'm not going to do a specific stamp. I got to be honest with you. I wish I could have spent more time on this video. I just literally don't have the time. But I came up with the 6Music Dad's framing device, and I discovered that in the description of one of the songs on this album, where Gryan said that he is making this song for 6Music Dads. So I'm not inventing this out of whole cloth. Anyways, the first track is called Romance, and this It's Metallica. It's a song off of the Metallica Black album. I mean, just elements of it, right? Just the way this low detuned bass sounds. And then, of course, we have the toy piano, which doesn't sound like it's kind of like a horror movie, and this great blasting at the end of this phrase, and the way he's singing, and into the darkness again, in with the pigs in the pen, God knows I love you, screws in my head, I will be beside you till you're dead. Sort of a weird, ominous love song. I like this album because its thesis is not love is great, its thesis is not love is terrible, its thesis is romance. let's talk about romance. There's not like one answer to what romance is on this album. Then we get to that song for 6Music Dads, Starburster. You know, I have this whole theory that underground rap albums, they give each other, like, there's always one song that has like an electric guitar somewhere on it that just like, you can just always bet. It used to be, back in the day, back in the good old days, the drummer would get some. The drummer would, can I give the drummer a little? Can we give the drummer some? You don't have to cut it loose. Just keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is a mother, okay? You need that kind of energy. At least once per song, you need a song where it's the drummer who's leading the whole thing, and that's Starburster. And this 6Music Dad is thankful that we're bringing this back, because it's just awesome how far this drumming goes. And the voices, this is maybe the most kind of post-punky, but it's kind of rap-like. At times, actually, the delivery, sorry, like my hair is just going nuts because it's like 1,000 degrees in here. A single word on this whole thing just is like Jay-Z. It's just, see if you can identify the one Jay-Z word. And then it has this great, super exaggerated inhale at the end of each phrase. I love it. What a great idea. How come no one's thought to do that before? How come Brian is the person who thought to do? Okay, listen, based on my history, I was one of those guys who saw the name, Saoirse and didn't know what it was. So I'm just going to stick with Brian. So this is his quote. It was probably a shocking thing for people who are more the 6Music Dads head to hear. It's fun to do that. They're having fun. And the thing is, and I've never listened to 6Music. This might be a thing that was made up just to make me look like a fool. But like, it's good. Why not make music like that? It's like Mojo. Of course, Fleet Foxes are on the front of Mojo, because Fleet Foxes back in 2009, and even now, they're the kind of band that should be celebrated by the same kind of people who, do amazing articles on, like Neil Young's 1974 tour, Next song is called Here's the Thing. That's the most post-punk title. Killer bass-led verse, this voice, this cool kind of more like weird inhalation sounds on the 2 and the 4s. This Jukebox reminded me a little bit of The Breeders, So like the last song with the super hard drum line was kind of Blur-like, except I don't like Blur. So it's like if I liked Blur, that's what Starburster reminded me of. And then Here's the Thing reminded me of The Breeders, which if you don't know The Breeders, they are like secretly one of the best bands of the 90s. I saw The Breeders open up for Nirvana, and they were so much better than Nirvana. Like as performers, it was like night and day. Next song is called Desire. It's I guess a U2 cover. I get one joke per video. I spent it on that. I regret it. I've already angered my Irish brethren. I'm going to make up for it with some James Joyce later, so don't you turn that dial. Cool kind of slow strings lead to this cracking falsetto voice. The lyrics are kind of unclear, but I love the way that this hook comes in with these faraway horns and drums. It's like the song doesn't quite start to like a minute and 30 seconds in. I will admit to the fact that I don't always perceive of the lyrics properly. I don't know. I don't think it's an accent thing. I think it's just like the way he delivers things. He's not trying to emphasize for clarity. And I love the outro here. These kind of like strings and this low farting keyboards. In the modern world, is it like a Lana Del Rey song? Is it just me? Am I the only one who hears like a Taylor Swift, Lana Del Rey chorus in here? I don't know. I kind of feel that kind of mixed with sort of a Jonathan Richman-y thing here. That's a pretty crazy jukebox move right there, but that's how I feel it. And then even the second chorus with the great boom, 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 Phil Spector style drums. I love it. I love it. Next track's called Bug. Cool guitar strumming with these grindy noises in the verse. Very sort of, okay, this reminded me, so when we're on 6Music, and I don't know what they play on 6Music, but I hope they play Echo and the Bunnymen, because this kind of reminds me of Echo and the Bunnymen. The drummer, Tom Cole, said of this song, and I get this all from Lyric Genius, that's the amount of research I was able to do, because I'm just too busy. I have to like supervise teachers, and a teacher just didn't show up, so I gotta figure out what's going on with that. That's how much it's on my mind. It's the middle of the video. If you've never heard Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen, this has that kind of like soaring, cool feel and instrumentation, and it's just great. I changed my name to Promise You. It's easier than making apologies. There's a little bit of this album that feels like it's sort of someone who's apologizing for being a slimeball. Motorcycle Boys, this great high warbling sound, acoustic guitar, almost kind of Smashing Pumpkins-y in terms of its jukebox here. It's super, super earnest. Apparently, okay, I read about this. This song is about a younger brother who became very interested in poetry and literature. I see him as the character of Matt Dillon in the film Rumblefish. He tries to find his way in life while his older brother is always away. I see my brother's interest in poetry and literature as his way of getting in touch with me. I wrote Motorcycle Boy for him. The line, all the life I've shown you will own you in time, is a warning for him, since at the end, the life you live is the only life you have. I do cry. I cry a lot on this channel. And listen, I have 3 older brothers. I looked up to them like gods. So many things, including probably this channel, I have done as a way to try to engage and impress my brothers. Okay? I mean, seriously. Yeah, that's cool, actually, because one of my brothers comments on almost every single one of my videos. The one who got me into music. Actually, the 6Music dad. That's my oldest brother. He's a 6Music. Dude reads Mojo. Dude buys new music. Dude also likes old music. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, it's just so sweet, and the way that it's made, and you get that feeling and you get that earnestness, and that's the thing. That's good growth. Sundowner, kind of slurry chords with synth sounds, big drums, kind of a shoegazy style thing. Sort of reminds me of shoegaze, kind of Nirvana-like. It's this other singer, I guess, in the band, the guitarist, and it's about dreams. A lot of this album's about dreams. Hoarseness is the whatness, a slow, aching ballad. So, this is in reference to Ulysses by James Joyce. Very difficult book. I've never, like, studied it. I've, like, read it, but it's a very complicated book. It's hard to derive any sort of one answer as to what it means. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to quote to you from page 184 here. The section around the concept of hoarseness is the whatness, so that we get it. And then I'll discuss it with you, okay? We'll have a little bit of time to discuss what does it mean. Upon my word, it makes my blood boil to hear anyone compare Aristotle with Plato. Which of the two, Stephen asked, would have banished me from his commonwealth? Unsheath your dagger definitions. Hoarseness is the whatness of all horse. Streams of tendency and eons they worship. God, noise in the street, very peripatetic. Space, what you damn well have to see. Through spaces smaller than red globules of man's blood, they creepy crawl after Blake's buttocks into eternity of which the vegetable world is but a shadow. Hold on to the now, the here, through which all future plunges to the past. I'm not gonna go into a whole like breakdown of the difference between Aristotle's poetics and Plato's vision here. I think the basic idea, hoarseness is the whatness of all horse, is talking about like what is the essential nature of something. That was a big question that Plato and Aristotle asked. So I think that's the basic question, you know, that just like that the absurdity of that sentence, that like all horses, the one thing that all horses contain is hoarseness, right? It's kind of a, what's that term for something that is in and of itself? It's, oh my God. I'm sitting here with Joyce in my hand, tautology. Yeah, it's a tautology, you know? So it's like saying the thing that it is the thing that it is because that's the thing it is, right? So the hoarseness is the whatness of all horse. And he goes in here peripatetic because Plato had a whole system of walking and teaching, and peripatetic means walking. And of course, Ulysses happens all in walking. So sort of all kind of seems to be there. I don't know how much they know about Joyce. I assume a lot, right? I assume that the same way that, I don't know, French people know a lot about Molière, that Irish people know a lot about Joyce, which frankly will probably account for a lot of great art and great thoughts. So I think what the song is getting at, the question here from the music, will someone find out what the word is that makes the world go round, because I thought it was love. I think he's like searching here, and he then lands on choice, that choice is the word that makes the world go round. So I think it's this basic struggle. This is like a kind of a philosophical struggle where he's trying to figure out what kind of systems can he live in, what kind of beliefs should he follow, and fundamentally he's just sort of stuck at this weirdness of hoarseness is the whatness of all horse. Like he's trying to get to the whatness of all existence, and he thought it was love, but maybe it's choice. That's the best I can do. That's the best I can do on a few hours of sleep and a couple babies screaming. Next track is called Death Kink. Thank you for setting the jukebox on Pixies. Love the Pixies. Yeah, I grew up in Boston. Very cool, creepy guitar, over-pronounced, casual singing, cool, weird lyrics, even sort of pavement-y at times, although that's kind of redundant. When you said I taste like sleep, I was dead. When will you step into the room out of your head? You said that I was bad, that was fine, but when you said I could be good, I wouldn't have it. More this kind of sense of regret. He does seem to be in sort of a slime ball position where he's having trouble figuring out how to be a good person, and he's sort of aware that he's not. The album ends with Favorite, sort of a cool 90s rom-com guitar line over acoustic guitar. It's this really heartfelt, like this could be a hit. This could be a hit in 1997. This could be one of the songs where you go, who was the band that did that? Oh, they're actually really good. Feel alone, I can split the sunshine to the day and stick your heart in everything you say, to be gone, to be gone. You've been my favorite for a long time. Apparently this song, according to Lyric Genius, is about his parents or about their parents and about the sense that they have. Like, there's this really beautiful heartfelt bridge. And this is the thing. Remember how I said, like, so if Joyce has an outsized impact on artists and intellectuals in Ireland, it means that you're going to have better poetry and better art. It means you're going to have less of a connection, like less of a impulse to have easily readable and definable statements. So that's why I'm going to end this review with reading this bridge, which, if I'm to understand the song as being a way of talking about your love of your family and the people who are there, like this is an oddly moving passage, but at the same time, were I to pretend to you I could break it down, I would be lying. I would be lying as though I could tell you exactly what hoarseness is the whatness of all horse. I will tell you, that's sticking in my head for the rest of my life. Hoarseness is the whatness of the all horse. Okay. Here's the line from Fontaines, D.C. Makes sense when you understand. The misery made me another marked man, and I'm always looking over my shoulder, and each new day I get another year older. Shoulder bounce through the frame of a door, turned into shape like stone on the shore. But if there was lightning in me, you'd know who it was for. My Patreons, I forgot my list. It's downstairs. But Logan, Henry, and Zach wanted a shout out, so I gave that to them. So okay, I gotta go back to the craziness of my life. I gotta check so many work emails. You know what? I'm gonna be the first YouTuber to check a work email at the end of his own video. Okay, we're gonna see right here. Okay, no response. All right, we're gonna see. We're gonna see if this crisis can be resolved in the next 20 minutes. All right. Well, until next time. Track down some back issues of Mojo, by the way. Each one of these is like a book. That's awesome. There's the camera.